Making a Change Group's Community Report every Thursday at 10 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and cmpradio.net's platform. Making a Change Group is dedicated to empowering youth, strengthening families, and serving as a community connector for the city of Chester and Delaware County. Thank you for tuning in.
Our weekly broadcast. Hey, thank you for tuning into our weekly broadcast for our community report. Today will be a little bit different. I know you're used to seeing Michelle, but I am Brittany Hales. I am the program coordinator for our GVINE program. That's Gun Violence Intervention and Networking and Empowerment. So I want to start off by telling you about an awesome event that we had the opportunity to be a part of this weekend, this coming Saturday, which is the Peace Walk. And that'll be we'll be walking from Curlin Street to Memorial Park and have all sorts of activities. But I have a good friend, C's, who will be joining us today and telling us more about the event. C's.
Good morning, Brittany.
Good morning. Thank you for coming and joining us today.
I appreciate y'all having me, I definitely appreciate it. So I just wanted to, give a little more background on the Peace Walk. It's we came with the idea. It was originally supposed to be done earlier in the season, between April and May. But when we got to talking, we realized that National Gun Violence Awareness Day was coming up between June 3rd and June 5th for the dates. So we coordinated our Peace Walk to commemorate that date with the national date. And, we just want people to come out and help bring awareness to the gun violence. Right now we got a lot of mass shootings going on. So, we also come from a community where gun violence is a plague in our city. So, we just thought it was important to try to acknowledge that and bring awareness to our community. So we asked people to come out and wear orange. Orange is the national color for gun violence awareness. And I'm not sure if people know why that came about. It actually started in, I believe, 2013. A young girl named Hadia Peddleton was murdered in Chicago. And around 2015, her friends started to wear orange to commemorate her life and, to bring acknowledgement to her legacy. And hunters also wear the color orange when they hunt for safety. So, the two kind of went hand in hand, and that's how the color came about. So, we just ask people to, find some type of orange. You ain't got to come in there draped out as a complete orange, but, T-shirt, hat, wristband, something, I figure it shouldn't be hard for our community since Chester High colors is orange and black. I feel like it ties right in together. So, we got a lot of great partners there. Of course, Making a Change, GVINE will be there. Tripoli Foundation is also a sponsor. Ceasefire PA, the Sisters of St. Francis, Chester Healing. We also have some great community services that will be out there present. Proja will be there. The Chester Boys and Girls Club, BDSI. Also, as you can see on the flyer, we have awesome vendors coming out. IBs, Humdiggities. Beef for Real Juice. Big Bars will be there giving out free wood races for an hour. But I believe he will still be there the whole event. And then also CMP Radio and my podcast will be there live streaming the event. I'll be interviewing community partners as well as, just running around showing off the festivities. We have face painting, popcorn machine, other games, cotton candy machine, community art. DJ Nas B gonna be on the ones and twos. I just think it's gonna be a real nice event. It's different. Most people hear Peace Walk, they think march and all those type of things. And we just want you to come out, get a little exercise, and come down to the Memorial Park and enjoy the festivities and try to give a nice community vibe.
Now, C's, what time does the event start?
It starts at 10 o'clock. We will be meeting, like you said, at Knife and Curling. We will walk to Memorial Park. We're estimating the walk to take about 45 minutes, probably not even that. Excuse me. And then, we plan on getting to the park around 11 o'clock, just enjoy the day after that. I don't believe we have too many speakers if we have any, because, a lot of people feel like when you have community events, we're going to talk you to death. But we want you to just come out and enjoy the atmosphere, enjoy and engage with some of the great community partners and some of the great organizations that make Chester great and is going to make it great again.
Now, see, from my understanding, if I show up at a Memorial Park between 9 and 10, I'll be able to get a ride to the starting point at Curling Street. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yes, there is parking. The better. I would suggest that, yes, to come down and park by the park and, get the shuttle van back. We will have a shuttle taking people from the end point to the start point, so people don't have to worry about, oh, man, I done walked all the way down. How am I going to get back to my car? So, we want you to park your car at the end, per se, take the shuttle van to the starting point. So that way everybody will already be, in the same space when it's time for them to make their leave. They won't have to worry about how they'll get back to the car because they'll already be by their car.
Perfect. And if anybody has any other questions or wants more information about the event, where can they find it?
You could go on Facebook at Chester Community Coalition. It's a Facebook page. Go ahead and like that. We also have Instagram the same way. And, you could email us at chestercommunitycoalition.org. I believe it's info. Or, just one of the members of the coalition. We have phone numbers, business cards. They can reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram. I don't have my answering the questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to leave us with?
Like I said, this is just an event that we're trying to do for the community. It's a great event. It's got a great organizations partnering for this program. So I just encourage everybody to come out and enjoy the nice weather that we're having, and just come have a good time with some good people.
Perfect. And G-Vine will see you on Saturday with our orange.
Look forward to seeing y'all.
Thank you. So as he said, on Saturday the 4th, starting at Curling Street, walking to Memorial Park will be a great peace walk, just an opportunity to really be unified in joining the efforts to promote safety, especially within our own city. There are some other events coming up on the 4th as well. From 11 to 4 is the Spring Community Fair, and that'll be at Temple Baptist Church on the 7th. So after the Peace Walk, you can head on over and make it a full day. They'll have Zumba, face painting, more water ice. There'll be a kid fun zone, community partners, and a blood drive. You can see their flyer for more information. Then moving ahead in the week, June 10th and 11th, there's a shred event. So you can shred all your confidential documents. So all of those obsolete documents with sensitive information like tax document, bank statements, canceled checks, credit card statements. Even those credit card offers have sensitive information, and you want to make sure that you're properly discarding those. Staples and small clips are able to be shred, but things like plastic covers or binder clips, you definitely want to discard prior to bringing them to shred. And that is June 10th and 11th. It's a free event. It'll be at City Hall's parking lot. Also on the 10th and 11th, there is a gun buyback. And that's also a city-sponsored event. Along with some other local law enforcement and community partners, focusing on both the west side and the east side. The west side will be at Bethany Baptist Church, and the east side will be at the East Side Recreation Center, again on the 10th and 11th. So there's tons to do on that Friday and Saturday. Coming up and things to look ahead for is the Daddy and Me dance. So we're calling all fathers, Amachi Mentoring Program in the city of Chester had partnered on Friday, June 17th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at City Hall in the community room. They're calling all fathers to join them, make this weekend special for you and your little ones. That's sons, daughters, nieces, nephews, cousin. Grab a neighbor. Let's wrap our arms around these kids and love on them. That'll be hosted by Councilman Will Morgan. Food, magic show, games, and music will be provided. And that's also Father's Day weekend. So let's send Dad a little extra love. Also occurring that weekend is the Juneteenth event, and that'll be actually a 2-day event. Part 1, June 18th, from 12 to 6 p.m. at Memorial Park. There will be tons and tons of activities, as well as the Father's Day parade leading up to the event. So the cities of Chester is showing out for the dads this year. So they'll have the Father's Day parade leading into the Juneteenth celebration. And after that, the daddy and daughter dance. Daddy and me dance. And that'll be from 12 to 6, featuring the Force MDs. That's part 1. Part 2, on the 19th, is a day of worship with a number of different community houses of worship to visit and celebrate with. Coming up June 14th is the City of Chester Safe Summer, and that'll be hosted at the Salvation Army. The Chester Chaplain Corps presents Chester Safe Summer, where they'll be giving information on, as well as a community safe fair. There'll be food, activities, mask, sanitizer, everything to keep everyone safe. Blood drive, hoop contest, toss contest, poetry contest. And this is a solution-based event focusing on a lot of different community partners to really engage on how to keep us safe and healthy this summer. And again, that will be at the Salvation Army, and masks are required. Last but not least, Delaware County Community College, their Marple campus, will be hosting their summer bridge program. That'll be from June 17th to August 11th. That's Monday through Thursday. This is an awesome opportunity if you are, one, a new student to Delaware County Community College. That is a requirement. You have to be a new student. It's not too late to enroll. You will have to have a high school diploma or a GED, or have been out of school for more than 3 years in order to attend. This would give you the opportunity to obtain 9 developmental course credits within that 7-week program, which is just an awesome opportunity. You can look at the Delaware County Community College website for more information. I think that is all that we have for upcoming events. Actually, I'm wrong. So the Chester Union calendar, there's tons and tons of activities going on with Chester Youth Soccer. They'll have goals in the gardens. As I mentioned before, the Daddy and Me dance, the Juneteenth celebration. The Philadelphia Union has an upcoming game the same day as the multiple Juneteenth Father's Day parade celebrations. Making a Change group, we have a special event for our G-Vine program. So if you're looking for more information about how to become a partner with us or to join, we work with youth ages 14 to 24 who have been impacted by gun violence by either being a perpetrator or have the potential of being a perpetrator or a victim of gun violence. And we offer support resources in our networks to aid a alternative path to those individuals. Lastly, we have another event coming up with the Philadelphia Union home game. If you are interested in tickets for the home game, you can always reach out to the Philadelphia Union box office and make sure you're keeping up with Making a Change group, because sometimes we have free tickets, and want you to come enjoy a game with us. So we also will be hosting some events at the park this summer. We will be at Chester Park having our annual summer program on Thursdays starting in July. So join us at Chester Park. More details will be to come. If you are a community group organization and you have your event that you would like to share with us, if you would like to be like Season, come on and elaborate on some of the things that you're doing in the community, please reach out to us and join us to have that opportunity. If you are an organization and you would like to share some of the things that are going on to spread awareness, please reach out to us and join us for that opportunity. Today we will be joined by Dr. York, who will be speaking with us shortly. But in the meantime, some of our program members and leaders within our G-Vine program is available, and they are here. Hi, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, what's up with her?
How's everyone?
Blessed.
Good. Good morning.
So I am super, super excited about the Peace Walk. I know, Gio, when we talked, you were concerned about walking from Curlin and back and what that looked like. So I was happy that we were able to have C's on and he could tell us about the shuttling opportunity. So we are able to park at Memorial Park and get a shuttle from Memorial Park back to Curlin to make that walk. I love it. I'm excited.
Definitely excited. I definitely encourage the whole community to really genuinely come out to all of our events. This, again, I always say, now that you know, it's no excuse. If you say that you want change, it's no excuse. If you say that you want to do something for your community, it's no excuse. If you say you want to step up and be a leader in your community, there's no excuse. What are we wasting time for? Meanwhile, babies are still dying, school shootings are still happening, and like I said, don't become a great complainer. Don't sit back and just complain. What are we doing about it? What are you doing right now? Are you sharing this video that you're watching right now? What are you doing right now to support your company, to support your community?
Absolutely. I agree with it. I think, these events, big ups to C's, man. Let me tell you really quick. This is some experience with C's. When I first came aboard, I seen him, one place, and then I started seeing him in another place, and consistently he's out there. C's is putting in that work. And funny story about C's, I've been doing the community outreach, and he was one of the numbers on my sheet, and he was like, "Rich, this is C's," and I'm like, "Wow, this man is really out there." But he's out there organizing, putting this information out there. It's a lot of hard work for the better of the community. And I just love some of the stuff he said earlier today, even like the history of the orange. That was deep. That was really deep. But one thing I liked about that is if we're all out there and we're all wearing that color, that means we all support, what that means. And as a group, as a community, man, to visually see that is encouraging. It's encouraging. So I'm hoping to see a lot of people out there support that movement and just have a great time. What a great way to start our kind of like summer in a sense, right? And Brittany sharing all that information about what we have for the month of June and July. It's pretty exciting to start setting, and I encourage everyone, you see those, start setting your schedule up. Make time for that, because that's a good time not only for yourself to just get out, but also to expose your young ones to something different. Give them some exposure. See what that looks like. What does unity look like? What does fighting for a cause look like? And there's going to be bars, big bars, water ice. Who don't in the city like big bars, water ice? Face painting, opportunity for you to have your kids go out and just enjoy a great Saturday. So I'm really, really excited about this. looking forward to that. And yeah, the shuttle's going to be good because I haven't done exercise in a while, so walking back might be a little hard for me.
All right, perfect. We will have you guys back on in a moment. We're going to have a conversation with Dr. York about some of the programs that he has going on. Dr. York, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I am so happy to be here. You just don't know.
I am happy to finally get to meet you. I've heard so many great things about you, and I'm eager for the community to get to hear more about, like I said, some of the things that you have going on and get to know you. So can you start with a bit about you?
Okay, so I'm a product of Chester. Started teaching here, I won't say how many, 2+ years ago at the Columbus Elementary School, formerly Columbus. And then I made my transition out into the world, did some work in suburban surrounding areas, and then finished up that work in Westchester Area School District and transitioned to higher ed, where I started teaching at Lincoln University. And then I transitioned to Westchester University, where I am in the evening division now. In the daytime, I'm still back home in Chester. I'm still here at the district level doing work and student supports and programming, and more recently doing some work in social emotional learning and trauma-informed instruction. I'm leading the charge in that way under our new superintendent, Dr. Craig Parkinson, and team, with a focus and a clear direction to unpack some of the things that our students bring to the table and some of the issues that also the parents have unresolved, which is part of our new program, our new initiative, Parenting Through Trauma. And so that's why I'm here, to be able to come back and give back and put some things in place that are sustainable and not just patchwork and not just last minute. So this aligns nicely with some of the initiatives that we heard from C's and Mr. Beck and other people who are doing great things in the memorial of, again, Father's Day and also Juneteenth.
Awesome. Can you tell us more about that Parenting Through Trauma program?
Sure. So, trauma is when, there are some triggers that cause you to relive untoward experiences that have a lasting impact on you. And sometimes they're unresolved and you don't know. And my work in special education as a school leader and instructor also carries over to clinical work, school supervision, special education, and clinical services. So I started more recently to do work in the area of trauma because I wanted to understand what was happening to our community members, our students, our parents, and how that intergenerational baggage that we call it sometimes just gets heavier and heavier. And sometimes we can transmit that as parents to our children or grandchildren and not even truly realize it. Sometimes it comes in the form of just language. Sometimes it comes in the form of discipline. Sometimes it just comes in the form of our own substance abuse or mental health issues that impact our children. What happens is they bring that to school. And so we may see it as just untoward behavior, aberrant behavior, but it really is them carrying the transference of the trauma from the home, the community, their parents into the classroom. And so one of our approaches has been through the lens of social emotional learning to help the parents unpack what's happening to them and how that impacts their parenting for their child, which may again result in, misbehavior, truancy, frequent absenteeism, poor performance in academic performance, drug use, substance abuse. Again, all of these ills and issues that sort of like impact schooling overall. And it could just take one student to disrupt everyone. So we want to make sure that, parents understand what that looks like, and that we wanted to provide social emotional learning opportunities for the parents to really benefit from that holistic approach and get some work done. In addition to some of the work that we're doing, we also have a new social emotional learning curriculum that we're rolling out, and that starts, in the summertime, and using the morning classroom meeting agenda and rolling in some additional push-in supports through our social workers and our counselors and our behavioral health workers. We'll be able to create like an entire village and wrap our hands and our minds and our understanding around some of the issues that the students bring to the classroom. So that's another spin-off from understanding the impact of trauma on learning and the impact on trauma on the parents who have to really do the full throttle job of raising the child. So I know that this is a sort of like not a traditional educational approach, but it was one nonetheless that I think that we need here in our community in Chester, because we're a small community, about 35,000 residents, 3.5, 4 square miles, and we have a long history of intergenerational trauma that carries over into everything that we do. And so again, we need to really start with supporting the parents with the skills that they need and the lens that they need in order to do this work. If we only rely on the teachers in the school to do this work, you'll see continued disharmony, and the impact will be what we were talking about earlier. With Mr. Bender and Stockholm and Seas, you'll see the issues in the community, and we have an approach in the community, but we don't have any support for the parent. And the parent is our foot soldier. They're the ones, mom and dad, grandma, foster parents, adoptive parents, godparents, aunties or uncles, whatever they consider themselves to be parent, they need to have the tools in order to support the child.
I wanted to applaud you on that. That's absolutely beautiful what you said as far as social and emotional learning is so vital, especially being trauma informed with all the neurodiversity that we work with in students. I've had this experience of talking to former staff members at another organization and just trying to inform them how to be trauma informed and work with young ones. But I have some questions for you as far as maybe some tips for how this sounds interesting to a parent, and you say, what, I'm interested in this, but I'm also interested in how to apply this with my loved one, my son or daughter. What are some tips or some avenues a parent who's hearing this said, well, I would like to learn a little bit about this. How would someone start educating yourself about being trauma informed?
Well, that's a wonderful question, because there's a lot of starting places. Over the last 10 years and since the inaugural study, 1995, 1997, the ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences Study, that has really sort of like reemerged. We really now have a better understanding that, something happened to me and I'm still carrying it. So the way that parents really, start to understand what's happening to them is to ask the question, what's happening to me? Like, where do I go wrong? I've sat in probably over 25 discipline expulsion hearings, and my role was director of programming student supports here in the district. And I can't tell you, the repeated theme that we hear at the expulsion hearing is from the parents saying, I know I have issues, but I don't know what to do with this one. There it is right there. So oftentimes we want them to fix the child, but they have broken parts of themselves. So the first thing I would suggest is they need to ask the question, what's happening to me in my parenting of my child? I don't care. We have parents who children go to STEM and they're making perfect grades, the students, but they have issues between the child and the parent. Can you imagine that? So that's stress on both parties. So we deal with it on all ends of the spectrum. So the first thing that we want them to do is to ask what's happening to me and how's that impacting my parenting. And then number two, we want them to get help. So some of the same resources and locations that we refer the students to, we also want to refer the parent to open themselves up and be vulnerable. And it's hard to tell a 30, 40, 50-year-old man and grandparent. And yeah, we have grandparents that young, right? I was one of them, to tell them to ask the question, what's wrong with you? But we have to do it, because we could be recreating the very same issues that impacted us and our child and our grandchildren's lives. And I can't leave out the grandchildren, because in our community, we have a huge intergenerational village that continues to raise other people's kids. And so it's important that we understand that we're doing the duty, but we could be re-traumatizing our own kids. There are things like domestic abuse, sexual abuse, rape, there's racial trauma, there's poverty, severe poverty, there's neglect and abuse, abandonment, foster care, being in the system, and then also being, incarcerated. All of those things, sometimes we don't unpack them. We just try to go through the day to day, but we say things and we do things that have a lasting impact on our 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6, 7, 8, 18-year-old. I'm dealing with an 18 and 19-year-old, a couple of them who are traumatized by the actions of their parents, and the parents are asking for help because no one's ever said to them, what's happening to you and how can I help you unpack this? Because you're going to have grandchildren, and we don't want there to be an issue or a schism in that family later on, right? So after they ask themselves what's happening, get help. And then number 3, be vulnerable. Just be open to it. We don't know the answers. You may not know the answers, but through cognitive behavior therapy, thanks to Dr. Beck and team, and trauma-informed therapy, we can do some of the work and unpack some of the stuff. And I guarantee you, it's nothing new that we have not done in our community, but it's just a different approach to the behaviors that manifest. That's all. This is nothing new. It's repackaged, it's given new names, dialectical theory, right? Reconnaissance theory. But again, it's unpacking it in a way that is fruitful for the youth that's experiencing the issue and the young parent that's experiencing the issue now. And as never before, we have a large population of parents in our community, charter school, public school, that are homeless. And they're homeless oftentimes because they've experienced in their history a number of traumatic events that have led to where they are now. And they've repeated those events, sometimes unknown. And so again, that's another example that this kind of conversation and this kind of resource is more important than it ever was in our country now, especially what we talked about with, again, the Uvalde and then the Buffalo 10 and then yesterday's massacre. So again, this is all important for people to start to understand what's happening to them. And it starts with a question and a critical introspection and inquiry.
Dr. York, thank you so much for that information. It's so valuable, and we really needed to hear it. The community really needed to hear this stuff. And I'm literally a prime example of that. Those who know me, I share my testimony freely. Coming from 10 and a half years of incarceration and coming home, realizing that I had to learn how to be a father. I had to learn how to be a son. I had to learn how to be a brother. I had to learn how to be a cousin. I had to learn how to be a friend. And you're learning all this stuff and not realizing that the world is not at one moment going to stop and say, hold up, you got to slow up. You got somebody that needs to catch up. It doesn't work that way. So it's so important that the parents need to hear, like, yo, we need help. It has to happen. I'm one of those people who had to get help because I didn't know how to do all those things. I didn't know how to be a dad. I didn't know how to be a son. I didn't know how to be a brother. I didn't know how to be a good friend. I knew I had good morals and good character, but there were things that I had to learn along the way. And I'm so grateful that I had people in my life to help me along the way. But it's important that we know that we can ask for that help and that it's okay to ask for that help.
Excellent. Thanks, Brother Josh. And you open up another door. Again, those who have been formerly incarcerated, that's another experience of trauma. And then it's not just sometimes, you that or me that goes to jail, but it's also the family. And sometimes we take it for granted, even loss, even homicide, even murder. I can name the number of funerals I've attended over the years. Thank God, no former students of mine specifically, but again, over the years. And again, that's trauma. So when we talk about vicarious trauma, we're talking about how I've been impacted by what you've gone through and how I package that and handle that. And so I think it's really important that you share that, what traumatic past you have, but also how you work through it, but then also how your family, that question is, how are they still handling it? The loss that you weren't there for those time periods and the children now that you've come back to, how did they handle that? And that's that vicarious trauma piece that sometimes nobody unpacks until you ask them, how are you? Where are you?
I tell people all the time, it's a continuous journey. You will continuously be unpacking. Just coming up, dealing with the traumas that we dealt with as children. And then also we're from an era now, I know my generation, I'm 35. We're from an era where babies were having babies. I had my first child when I was 17. I was a baby. I know now because I have daughters that's 17 and they're babies. So they're my baby. So I was a baby having a baby and I didn't know. I didn't know how to be a dad. I didn't even know. All I knew was I had a son. Right? I got a son now and I'm going to jail. So we don't know, and it's okay not to know. It's a quote, I think it's from Machiavelli. It says, the smartest man is in the room is the one who knows he knows nothing. Life is constantly growing. Technology is constantly growing. Life is constantly moving at a rate that sometimes we can't keep up with. And that's okay, but that's why you have help. I really want our community to really grasp the concept that we need help. It's okay to ask for help. And I wrote in one of my collection, in my inheritance collection, I wrote a letter to my dad, and in that letter, I stated a quote. It said that what our children inherit, what their inheritance is, becomes their heritage, and what their heritage is becomes tradition.
Mhm.
What will our children's tradition be? Will it be gun violence? Will it be foul language? Will it be lack of education? Will it be not asking those questions? What is that tradition going to be? We have to change the inheritance that we're passing down to not just our children, but to all the people that are watching us. Even those broken adults who still don't know anything, they're watching us because they're looking and like, wow, I want that. How can I get that? And we need to constantly demonstrate that for them.
100%. Well said, brother. Well said. And when it's funny when you talk about tradition. Me and a couple friends, we went to see Downton Abbey this weekend, and I don't know if you know, it's a sort of like a traditional Elizabethan, pre-industrial, Eurocentric idea of family and patriarchy, right? And it was one of the most widely acclaimed and popular series, and it continued to morph into movies, right? And I listened to how they just value the grandma, right? They call it.
Can you give me that again, bro? What is it?
Downton Abbey.
No, I'm saying describe it again. They describe it as what?
Well, that was me describing this. I don't know if I
give
did
it to
it right.
me again. Give it to me again.
But again, it's a Eurocentric idea, a version of family during sort of like the pre-industrial era that is born of money, right? It's born of legacy, and it's born of prominence, and so that family goes through these different experiences of financial loss. But remember, they're fluent, they're sophisticated, and it's during that era of it's the whole Elizabethan romantic era, and then they transition into the pre-industrial era where they're really starting to use cars, and they're really starting to factories are popping up all over Europe, and the whole theme though is the value of family, like Brother Josh just said. And I thought about it, I wonder how, I know we value my mom, we value dads, we're going to do a whole thing for dad. But it really hit me after that movie. People were walking out of there crying because the Duchess of Dowry, the great grandmother, right? We call Big Mama. In their mind, the Duchess of Dowry, she passed away. But she passed away in a room, leaving a whole lineage of daughters who were princes, who were kings and queens, who were of prominence. She transmitted that to them. And Brother Josh has made me realize the importance of remembering we may not be at that same level, but we have to remember, we have to pass on some level of tradition. And one of the linkages here for me is that when I think about this work of trauma, I think about how can I pass something on? How can we unpack what's happened to us and then really get back into the core of what's good in us and pass that goodness into us? Because I don't want to keep hearing stories about Big Mama and she died of diabetes and, dad died of, cancer or, prostate issue. I want to hear stories like they went peacefully, but they left a legacy and of prominence. And I'm wondering how we can get back to that. And I think one of the ways is the things that we're doing this weekend and the ensuing month in June in Chester, we get back to our heritage. But it just really shook me because I can't walk away with that same story. You feel me? Walk away with the story of visiting my son in George Hill and going to media for trials and going to family court for custody of so many kids that weren't taken care of. And I wrestle with, I want my legacy to be one of that. But we do have a rich legacy to get back to. I'm sorry, Brother Josh.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, bro. So, Dr. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? I also would like to say that it's very important. Everybody that knows me, my mentors, Rich, my teammates, they know I'm big on definitions. I always give my kids words with definitions. It's very important that we teach our children the definitions of these words that we constantly hear on the news when these shootings happen. What is depression? What is PTSD? What is anxiety? What is anger? Because what I'm realizing in my 5 years as a case manager is that people don't know that we don't know the definition of these words. You have people come in your office that have anxiety, but they didn't look something up on Google and they're like, oh, I got PTSD. You're like, whoa, wait a minute. You come in, oh, I got PTSD, and like, no, that's anxiety. So we have to teach our children, because I always say if they have a cell phone, they know everything. But we have to teach them the definitions of these words, the definitions of these words that we're constantly hearing, that we're constantly pouring into ourselves. Oh, I have anxiety. Oh, I'm feeling depressed. Oh, I'm feeling down. I'm feeling angry. What's the definition of that word? And are you feeling that way?
Mm-hmm.
Doctor York, I had one last question. I have I know the importance of creating a safe space and active listening when it comes time to talking to a young one. But could you elaborate a little bit more on that for parents who want to talk about things with their kids and open up to listening to what a child is going to say about his trauma? Because Miss Cookie said something that was important to me yesterday. Miss Cookie works with us. She said, "I allow this kid or this child to teach me how to love them." And I thought, wow, that's very important because she used active listening. She put her mindset in a certain way. So could you express a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think that you said it though, in combination with just like, what we're all talking about thematically, it's knowing ourselves so that we can get to know others better. And so even what Ms. Cookie said to you, I have to allow so-and-so to grow so that I can love them, which means she has to learn them. She has to be open and be vulnerable and be present in order to get to know them so that she can love them unconditionally. That's what I had to do as a foster parent and an adoptive parent. That's what we have to do as parents so that we can let our children tell us how they see us and what's happening to them. And sometimes we cannot do it when we're in the heat of the moment. Sometimes we can't do it when, as Josh just said, anxious. We can't do it when we're feeling depressed. When we know what we're feeling, sometimes we have to do it in the presence of others so that they can be there as what we call witness, to be that level of support for both you and the child and children. Ayanna has taught us so much. I don't know if you followed the trajectory of her therapeutic career. Ayanna Van Zant, Fixing Your Life. But one of the things that she's done is that she has focused on what we call confrontational therapy and getting the whole family together and everybody confronts the omens in the room. That doesn't work for everybody. So it's really important that you take a moment and a pause to know yourself and know what you can and can't do. We've had parents here at the high school who have fought one another in the conference room, in the classroom, in the hall, because that's the level of trauma that they're at, right? So that's right away. That's level red. That's triage. Let's get them together. Let's take time to help them to understand what's happening to them, and then they can eventually come together and they can realize that we'll never go there again, but this is where I still am. And it's like a thermometer. So yeah, you have to know yourself, like you said with Miss Cookie, in order to get to know others. And then if you can't have the conversation, and I got to be honest, many of our parents can't. Many of our children can't. If they're at the point of conflict and confrontation, they can't. They need someone else in the room. That's why we cannot, as a community, look at therapy as a bad thing. We have to look at it as an intervention. As somebody that's going to help me to see myself better than I see myself, but they may not have all the answers. And a real good therapeutic intervention, a real good therapist is not going to tell you that they have all the answers. They're going to help you to guide them to facilitate the process of coming to be where you are.
Thank you for sharing. Excellent. Thank you for sharing.
Dr. York, one question, last question, because you brought up, you witnessed two parents fighting, and being as though we're in the same field, right? We're meeting with parents and children every day. What were some of the things that you did to get that situation together? What were some of the things, what were some of the outlets that you provided for the parents afterwards, if any?
Okay, that's a good question, because it happens a couple of times, and it happens, and it will happen. I think the first thing is that safety, right? Creating a safe space, right? Because with that anger and that anxiety and that frustration, that depression, they quickly turn on you. So that's again creating a safe space. So that means you have to know yourself, and you have to know your triggers, and you have to make sure that you can then create a safe space. And then number two, I think you just said it, an outlet. Tell me what you need. Tell me how you're feeling. Tell me what steps you want to take now. It's usually fight or flight, right? So you don't want them to fly unless they're going to be harmful to yourselves or others. You want them to fight to stay. I say, fight to stay with me. Fight to stay present with me right now. So give me 5 minutes of your time. Tell me what you're feeling right now. Tell me what I can do. And then in a minute, they will unleash. And those 5 minutes, I'm telling you, most of the time it turns into 10, 15, 20 minutes of overflow because they've not had a chance to let anyone listen to them and how they're hurt. And for the young lady who's a senior graduating and the mom whose son was shot, he's now paraplegic and has a number of other children, and they're all experiencing this trauma. Can you only imagine what's happening right now? You know, the daughter's experienced abuse and hurt, neglect, but she's graduating on her way to college. But there's a history of tension and trauma and misunderstanding. All it really did take was perspective seeking. You tell me how you see me, I tell you how I see you. Let's talk about what we want to see. That narrative therapy. Let's create a narrative of we want this to happen. And we also have something in common. We all suffer a loss. Her brother was shot. He's a paraplegic. Her son was shot. He's a paraplegic. We now have something in common. So now we have commonality. So they started to move around that. This is what I'm going to do to help you. This is what you're going to do to help me. They didn't realize they had it because they were mad at each other and mad over the event. So the narrative therapy comes in where you can help them to narratize what it is that they want to see happen, what kind of relationship they want to happen. And see, these are Eurocentric Western tools, but we don't use those phrases. You said, Josh, concept and themes. What we talk about is this is what it's going to be. That's what we call. That's our narrative therapy, Gio.
Yeah.
This is how we're going to do this. But it's the same thing. This is how we're going to lead. This is how we're going to move, right? And so we use a different nomenclature. We use different vernacular, but we're saying the same thing. We just have to memorialize it and put it in place and make it plain. And the people that we had,
hold up, Doc. You gotta let them know what nomenclature means.
That's just words for words.
Know what that means, Doc.
Just words for words. Nomenclature, just words for words. Nami comes from the Latin phrase nomen. So yep, just words for words. So when they words for words, so whatever your vernacular is, which is again how you speak, whatever words you use to describe other words, that's all that is. And remember, in our community, Big Mama used to do it. Pop-Up didn't say anything, but Big Mama or Mamacita or Abuela, they used to do it. And they shut it down. But we don't have those people around anymore. That's the heritage piece that hurts me. And so mamas and pop-offs and abuelas and mamacitas are 35, 40 years old going through the same trauma. Same trauma.
So Dr. York, going into the summer, what is one thing if you could tell the families to start one place, one activity, one thing that they could do as a family to start changing that narrative going into the summer, what would that be?
Have a family reunion. Have a reunion. It doesn't even have to be a big one. Eat. We love to eat. We got to learn how to eat right, but we don't spend time doing that. And COVID has shut that down immensely. Go somewhere and enjoy eating and cooking out, getting to know one another. You know why? Because it's difficult for them to use their phone. There's not going to be good Wi-Fi. They're going to be at a park somewhere where it's covered with trees. They're going to have to sit down and fight off the bugs and watch everybody else. And they're going to be forced to sort of get to know one another. And then they're not going to be able to smoke freely and drink freely. They're going to have to just be present with one another. So going to a park, I don't care if it's Memorial Park, if it's the Platte, if it's South Street, go somewhere and get to know one another. That's one of the things I do. Remove yourself from your familiar and go somewhere and eat. And again, it starts with 2 or 3, and then it starts with 4 or 5, and then you plan. That's one of the things that we had to do in my family as we experienced a rift. Because of COVID, we weren't together anymore. We were only together through Zoom and through the text chat because we couldn't come around with one another because many people didn't believe in the vaccine. Many people just couldn't do it, right? And so illness and other issues prevented us from being community again, family again, social again. So one of the things we had to do was reinvent how we would spend time. And so since we could only be outside for a period of time, we went outside and we got to know one another. And so I say eat, which is part of our tradition, and spend time together in a place that's not familiar. And then you're going to want to do it again, or you're not going to want to do it. And it's going to unpack to you what that so-and-so does for you and your family. And then that's still growth for you. That's still process for you. And then the next time you bring a friend along and you bring another family member along and you start a tradition. Like I watched them walk the trail in Philadelphia, and I watched them walk and walk and walk. And I see families and fathers and sons. I see them create a tradition. We need to get back to creating spaces and times with one another that become, as you said, a heritage or tradition. And it's really hard. It's really hard to do, but that's what you do. Because sometimes if we're in that same living room or on that porch or in that same house, there's that trauma memory, and it doesn't help. And it's what happened to me there, and that doesn't help. We got to get up and out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Dr. Young, thank you so much for all this valuable information. This was very informative. You were very direct.
Dr. York, I like that your Spanish was there. I was like, what do you know about the mamacita and abuelita? But I
Please
love
come
that.
out to these events. That's also a start. Come to a community event once a month.
Yeah.
Have your outings, but that's also creating that space. Like Dr. York said, now you have the witnesses. Now you have the support of the whole community.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have other families that you could talk to and bounce ideas off. And one of the greatest takeaways that I always say after all our events is, now we have that intimate relationship. Now I know you. Now I know your name. Now I know who your children is.
Yes.
Now your children know who I am.
Yes.
Now I know that when I see you in the market, when I see you in the community, I can speak to you freely without any negativity attached to it, because we share the intimate conversation. We share the intimate interaction at a community event, and I love that takeaway. So I always say, the more people we get out, just imagine that we had 200, 400 people from our community at an event. That is now 400 families that's connected in our village.
That's right.
That we didn't have before.
That's right.
Rich, anything to add, Rich?
I think I just wanted to say I applauded Dr. York for saying abuelita and mamacita.
I caught it too.
We got Latino listeners, and it's important to identify, like, these things happen. And for people of color, African American, Latinos, these things are very similar. And one of the things I remember hearing when I was talking to parents is that when I was growing up, you weren't allowed to talk about these things. These things were like, it was kept in the house. Mm-hmm. And then that I struggled with a lot of those things as I got older. But when I talked to others, I was like, wow, you know what? It wasn't just me. And that's why it's so important for us to have these very intimate conversations and gatherings, so that we can unpackage these things in a meaningful way, with guidance and with love. But Dr. York, I wanted to applaud you on that, because that tells me you worked in many different areas with many different people, and the answers you gave today show that. And thank you so much for sharing these vital facts and information. I applaud you, and thank you for all your hard work. I look forward to maybe going to a training of yours one day, or even hearing you speak a little bit more, because you got the juices flowing today. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you guys. I mean, Mr. Gio and Mr. Richard and Brother Josh, we can't do this alone. Again, we're in four walls, and you guys are building the bridges, and you're making things happen. And there's so many important things that's happened through making change, and with Corey, and I'm just so grateful that you guys are here, because I've been in Chester. I've been here, a very long time, and then I moved outside, but my foot was always here. I was always in the school. I was teaching up in Bucks County and affluent Pennsbury School District, and I was bringing parents and kids from Chester up there to say, hey, look what we can do back. So I never left. But we can't do this without you guys. The blessing is you guys are making things happen. And so we're collaborating, and I'm not the guest speaker. I'm grateful because I'm learning from you all. So that's the blessing that keeps on giving. So thank you for this.
Thank you. Gio,
Yes,
I see you sitting there, and I see you've been brainstorming, and I'm waiting for you to give me my weekly quote, brother.
I was just listening. It's good to just soak up information sometime. Know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You do it so well, Mr. Gio. I wish I could be that cool looking and have that much suave and that much finesse.
But what I would say and what I would leave us with is the importance of coming out and getting involved. Like I'm relatively new in this field, so I'm taking my bumps and bruises along the way as I'm navigating how to properly engage, how to properly motivate, how to properly mentor, so I'm learning on the job. It's important. It's more important that more people come out and get involved in every event that we have going on, everything that we have going on. And I say that not because you have to. No matter of fact, it's because you have to. The G-Vine program is a small program, and it's not a lot of us. The work becomes overwhelming. We can't do everything. We can help with a lot of things. One of the most important aspects of our program, and the name of the program being the Gun Violence Interventions Network and Empowerment Group, is the networking part. That's the most important part of it. We need more people to come out and help, to lend their hands, to lend their time, to lend their voice, to lend their expertise. It's things that we want to do that we don't even know how to do. It's people in the community that know how to do it. We need y'all help. We need y'all to come aboard and help us help y'all. Help us help y'all children. Like I said, it becomes overwhelming at times. It's a heavy load. It's 6 or 7 of us. Like that's a heavy load to carry for an entire city. So the more involvement that we get, the lighter the load becomes, the more impact we can have in other areas. If we focusing on one thing too much because that's all we got the strength to lift right now, we can't attack the other problems. So we need community support. We need people to come out, share their ideas, share their time, share their love. I mean, show the kids that they care, that they love them. And that's pretty much the most important aspect that I find in this work, is showing kids that you love them, breaking down the wall that they done put up that nobody cares about them, and now they done broke that wall down, and understanding that people really do care about them and people really do love them. So that's why, like, during this peace walk we have going this week, it's important that people come out. It's important that people bring their kids out and show their kids with other kids walking for a common cause, man, that they want to survive out here, that we want them to survive out here. So
Absolutely.
I just leave out with
that. Thank you all for showing up. I love all of you guys. I really appreciate it. Big shout out to Brittany for opening up for us. I want to leave everybody. It wouldn't be right if I didn't shout out my son, Kwali Aaron Shockley, whose birthday is today, who I lost to suicide 3 years ago, May 8th. I want to leave everybody with this. We do not have time, nor do we control it. I said it before, sometimes we set them alarms in the morning, we plan these dates, we plan these events, we do all this planning, and sometimes it makes us arrogant. It makes us arrogant to think that we control time. We do not, and we do not have time to waste. We have to protect our time. We have to protect our community. We have to really step up. You know now, you cannot walk away from watching this live and say you do not know where help is. Like Gio said, we cannot. I can't do anything for you, but I can help you with everything. We can't do anything for you. We can help you with everything. Please step up. Please show up. Please come out to this peace walk. Please show up to these events. Please go out to eat with your family, have that picnic, go out to that park, have that walk, have that decompression day. Let's really bring Big Mama back in the spirit in our families, because we did inherit that. Let's pass that down to our children. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you all for showing up. Dr. York, you are incredible. Thank you for being here with us today. Rich, Gio, I love you guys. Dr. York, I love you. I see y'all next time.
Absolutely.
Peace.
Bless you guys. Peace.